folks, Gary here, working back on the Buick. We're underneath the Buick now. We're going to take and remove the gas tank. Not a lot to it. There's just a couple hoses to disconnect, one wire for the, gauge. I'll show you that, and then there's basically a couple straps that we'll have to loosen up. But we want to get this tank out of here so we can inspect it, look underneath it. It also has got a couple dents that we'll show you that we're going to try to get out just to improve it cosmetically. So the first thing to do is to just remove these hoses, and you can see there's a clamp here, and how these work is you just basically get a pair of pliers that's wide enough to grab all three tabs, and then you kind of compress them. Always easier said than done. I'm trying to do it with one hand here, and then you push the clamp down off of where the hose is there. And then it's been on here probably 50 years, so what I'm going to do is get a little screwdriver and just kind of pry, and what I want to do is just kind of loosen it up all the way around. So let me get that screwdriver. I'll be right back. So you can see I'm kind of getting that screwdriver inside of there. Then I'm just walking it around. That oftentimes will break it free. And then make it easier to be able to pull that hose off. You see it's moving. Part of the problem is you're trying to push it where there's nowhere for it to go. So kind of moved it off to the side a little bit. And then this one here, let's see if I can turn it a little bit and break it loose. And of course I can't, but it'll make it easier to get on that hose clamp if I could bring it around to this side. There we go. Just got to have patience and persistence, as I mentioned earlier. Something I have sometimes, sometimes I don't. Oh. All right, so a little gas there. Now, I should have mentioned earlier, you always want to be careful when you're working with the gas or the gas tank that you don't have open flames, obviously, or spark sources, that kind of stuff, right? So we've got both those hoses loosened up, which are attached to the tank. And the only reason I'm doing it out here is because it's just easier. You know what I mean? Like, the tank will still come down because I'll put these over the frame. And then these hoses will just come along with the tank. But it's much easier to get at the hoses here than it is to try to get at them where they're mounted on the tank at this point. So there, I've got them both in a position where they'll come down with the tank. And then the last thing I got to do is disconnect. You can see here, maybe not, but there's a wire for the sending unit. I don't know if you can see that in there, Alex. Yeah. Maybe come over this way. Well, that's the connection is there. Can you see the connection in there from here? There's the connection, that big part. It's okay. I'll show once we get it off. I'll show them what it looks like. Oh, it just disconnects. Pretty simple. We'll show it once we get the tank out.
I can see it from here, show it.
That's the power. This just presses in together, pulls apart. This is for the power. And then here against the frame,
so
right there, this little teeny little, this is the ground wire for the sending unit for your gas gauge. So we're gonna have to take that off too. That looks like that's been there forever, so I'm gonna have to spray that, and even then it's gonna probably not want to come out of there real easy. I am totally amazed that this thing